So let's look at a much more typical setup with using your SQ series with a DAW. Now, if you haven't downloaded the DAW control from Allen Heath's website, just download that and install it onto your Mac or PC. I'm going to show you just some basic setups with Logic Pro, but because there's so many different types of DAWs out there, I'll leave you to experiment with your own DAW using the demonstrations that I give here under Logic Pro as kind of a guide for, so that you can interpret that and use it in your own custom setup. Keep in mind that there is a thorough application guide for the DAW control on Allen Heath's website. Now I'll show you how to set up typical USB connections in the next clip, but I thought it'd be a great idea, and by the way, all of this is taken care of on the I/O screens that we'll see just in a moment, but this can be kind of a graphic to show you what's going on behind the scenes, because you can use your SQ series as a monster I/O box instead of buying an audio interface for several $100s. Why not use the incredible preamps inside your SQ series to route from your rear panel and take that into a DAW and then route DAW playback back into your SQ series. And all of this is taken care of with the I/O screens up the top here. So let's take an example. I'll draw your attention to the last 4 channels here. I'm going to set up the last 4 channels as inputs. In other words, they're going to get their inputs from the rear panel. Inputs 1 through 4 are going to come into those channels, and then all of that is taken care of on this screen. You can see inputs 29 through 32 have their inputs from the locals 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 4 channels there are getting their inputs from the rear panel, and then I can set that to go out to our DAW, and all of that is taken care of on the output screen, the direct outputs through USB. So you can see that flow. The rear panel is coming into these channels, and then that's going out to your DAW so that you can plug anything you like in the rear panel and bring that directly into your DAW. And then in terms of the playback, I'm going to take all of these channels and I'm going to set that to get its input. Instead of getting their inputs from the local rear panel XLRs, I'm going to bring that in through USB. And so that all of that DAW playback will come in those channels, and all of that is taken care of on this screen in terms of the inputs and the USB. Now we've already seen that you can decide where your input is going to come from, either from the local XLRs or in this case USB ports. Now you can do that one by one to each channel, but a lot better way to do that is underneath I/O across here. So we're looking at our inputs, our input channel to local. So what is going to be plugged in to, which channels are going to receive inputs from the local XLRs in the back? Here's what I've done. I've set up the last 4 across here to receive their inputs from 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's what I'm going to do that. Let me just go down here until we can see here. Okay, you can see input 29, 30, 31, 32 are getting their inputs from 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason I did that was that if I go over to USB here, I've actually set it up so that input channel 1 here comes in from my DAW's USB channel 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4. So we have basically 28 playback channels from Logic in this case here. And so if I was to hit play here, you can see the whole board light up. Let me go into the song. So you can see everything's lighting up here. So all of that, I actually haven't got that patched in, so you won't be able to hear that. But you can see that all of my DAW channels will come back on my console, and I can do whatever, I can treat them just like there was, in this case, 28 live players coming back in here. Now, the reason I put my the inputs over here is that I've actually armed a track over here. Let me see if I can go over here. Yeah, I've made a new track here, Audio 1, and I have that looking at input 1 of the USB bus. And you remember that was this one right here. I set this up over here where it was a local. I go all the way along here. Yeah, you can see that 29 is going, is patched to USB 1. So if I tap this microphone here, you can see that's coming up on my DAW, and so I can record into my DAW with these particular channels, and then the playback of everything else can come back through channels 1 through 28.